Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2021. It's Jason and John here. We are joined by Avery, Derrex, and Carman from the movie Questions, which was absolutely phenomenal. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, man. How are you guys doing? Avery, how you doing? What you been up to?
Considering the circumstances, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. This is, it's Christmas time. It's my favorite time of the year. So I'm soaking that up, enjoying that. And things are great. Right now, I'm just trying to work on taking these next 2 days, Christmas Eve and Christmas, to relax. That's what I really need to work on right now, is just a little bit of relaxation. So, yeah.
Awesome. Derrex, what have you been up to?
Man, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a blessed season, but it's been a whirlwind. I actually have been in Atlanta filming a series. I can actually talk about it now because the big announcement came out yesterday. So there's a new series called Johnson, and I'm so grateful to be on it. So I've been out there for the last month and a half filming that. I got to come home and spend time with the family, so I'm trying to soak it all in for like a week, a couple days, and then I'm right back there January 3rd.
Awesome. Carman, what have you been up to? How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Just getting ready for Christmas. My daughter's birthday is tomorrow, Christmas Eve, and so we don't celebrate Christmas Eve like most people do. It's Cheyenne's birthday, so that's what we're planning on eating a lot more sweets and getting, even more fat than I've already gotten over the whole thing.
Yeah, that COVID weight is no joke. And then add on to it the holiday cookie season. Oh, man.
She always says that, but she does not ever. Yeah. We don't ever know what she's talking about.
That's usually how it is.
You see me from here to here right now, and that's the way I want it.
The problem is that Carmen is an amazing cook. People might not know that, but she cooks.
I didn't know that.
Food. Oh, yeah. Now you're gonna have all these requests. Sorry about that.
Make long drives just to come and have tamales at my house years and years ago. Long drive.
Oh, love tamales. Okay, you shoot. I might make a trip. I love tamales. Yeah.
We're gonna get into questions, but I got a quick question for Avery. You worked on Boston Public. How was it like working with David E. Kelley? Because I've just watched the shows in that universe. I haven't watched Boston Public yet. It's next. I've watched Ally McBeal, The Practice, and Boston Legal. Okay. How was it like working with him? Because he is a television icon.
Yeah, no, David was incredible. I mean, the craziest thing about David is that, I don't know if you knew this, but and I don't know if he still does it, but when he was writing Boston Public, he literally wrote every episode in like a couple of hours. I mean, he would lock himself in a room and come out maybe 2 hours later with a full episode, and then you'd read it, and it would be good. And that's just not how it's supposed to work. Like, it just he's an alien in that regard. But very cool. I mean, he was really cool. He was very loose. He kind of let you, once you were cast in the production, he kind of just let you bring your own flair to it. Obviously, if you brought something that didn't work, he would stop you and work. But he was very open to working with you and letting you bring your own thing to it. And I think that's kind of where the magic comes with a lot of his shows. The characters. I think that's why his characters in the shows are so great, and people respond to him because he's so good at collaborating with you to help build him.
What is the tone of Boston Public? Because I watched Boston Legal first, and then I went back and watched The Practice, and I was culture shocked because the shows are so different, even though they share characters. So I'm curious, like, how is Boston Public? Because Ally McBeal is completely out there.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. I would say Boston Public is closer to. It would be closer to Boston Legal, but it's still, again, it's its very own world, right? Like, it's, if you didn't know that David E. Kelley was responsible for both, then you wouldn't put it together. You wouldn't guess it. But if I had to say what the tone is closest to, I would say Boston Legal.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what I've noticed with his shows. The tones are so different.
Yeah, which was interesting because I also got a chance. I just did one episode on Boston Legal, but I got a chance to work on Boston Legal too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, which was fun. I got I got both of my feet shot off by I'm just going to do it. He would be so upset if I did. But James T. Kirk doesn't like it when William Shatner. But yeah, I got both of my feet shot.
That was you. I remember that.
You remember? Okay, yeah. But it was interesting because again, it was a great experience, but just so much different. You know, it's a whole different vibe on set. But again, a great experience. But yeah, it's really fascinating how he's like a chameleon. I mean, and it shows, you know, represent that and show that. It's pretty fantastic what he's able to do. Yeah.
I watched questions today, and the first thing I noticed going into the show is what man in 2020 does not know that on Valentine's Day, if the woman says, "Don't get me anything," you're supposed to get something better than you already had planned.
Well, that would be Omar. Yeah, and it's actually it's based. That's a true story. That really happened. But I can say to Omar's benefit, and since I actually did that, my benefit, when I did that, in reality, that was years ago. That wasn't 2020. So I was a little younger, a lot stupider, and I I was just like, hey, well, I'm going to take whatever you say literally. I wasn't that happened at a time where I was not very good at reading between the lines. Yeah. So, but and Omar is not either, obviously, as you were able to see.
Oh, I've done it before too. Back when I was.
Have you? Oh, okay. All right. Oh man, so you got me out there,
Yeah. No, I've done it. Take them at their word.
Yeah. You think you're doing the right thing, and then it's like, oh, yeah.
The part that I enjoyed, there was two parts that I enjoyed most about the film, but the first one, I want to just mention how much I enjoyed the pager, because as the only man on the face of the planet that misses his BlackBerry, I'm that guy. I can relate.
Yeah. You know what? The first thing I want to say about that is I want to ask Derrex if he has anything he'd like to say about that comment from John there, because
hey, that pager was one of my notes. Like, dude, we gotta take that out. We gotta take it out. He fought for that. There's some things that were lost, but that was not one of them. The pager stayed in, and I have to be honest, it really is hilarious. It really is funny, because it is funny. Like,
yeah.
We sit on the couch and we're like, but who has a pager? Like, who does that? Like, you put a battery in it? Like, how does it work still? Like, it's just hilarious. So yeah, Abe was right on that.
Yeah. It was to bring everybody up to speed. During pre-production, before we started shooting, we were going over the script. And Derrex is a co-producer of the film, by the way. So we were going over the script, and Derrex and our other co-producer, Mark Etienne, who wasn't able to join us today, they both were like, yo, we think the pager gag has got to go. They thought, they were like, pagers are so old now, a lot of people aren't even going to remember them, this, that, and the other. And I said, that's what makes it so funny. I'm like, the less people actually remember them, to me, the funnier it is. And I was just like, no, it will not go. I refuse to let that one go. And so thank John.
Well, and here's the funny part. As I'm watching it, and Omar's trying to borrow everyone's phone, I'm like, doesn't C have a landline in this universe? Like, couldn't he just call?
Everybody else uses cell phones, so no.
Yeah. I don't. Landlines. Does anybody here use a landline?
That'll be in the sequel.
Anymore in the sequel, yeah. Do you, Jason, taking the cell phone? Yeah, I think landlines are almost a thing of the past.
I got one for the house a few years back, so my daughter's friends could call her. I ended up just getting her a cell phone because that's a telemarketer like magnet.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my second thing that I really liked was I loved the chemistry among Jason, Omar, Brian, and C. I felt like that was very well done. It didn't seem as if you gentlemen were actors. You generally seem like you would have been friends and were peeking in on you guys hanging out on the couch, or whatever. So that was awesome as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, we actually were friends. I mean, we've known each other, the four fellas, for years. I mean, I've known Derrex now for, since 2009, 8, something like that.
Yeah, man, it goes back. Yeah,
and then I've known Marquise I've known Marquise for almost 20 years now, because we knew each other from New York. We both used to live in New York, and we know each other from those days. And Danny is the longest. I've known Danny, who played Brian, for wow. I met Danny in 97. So I've known Danny since 1997 in New York as well. We were filming a Burger King commercial together, and we hit it off and became fast friends, and here we are, all these years later. But yeah, so we had relationships. I mean, so that was cool. But on top of that, all of those guys, Derrex, Marquise, Danny, they're fantastic actors, fantastic. So because you have that chemistry, it doesn't mean it's automatically going to come across on screen if you can't, but the fact that we had that chemistry and all of those guys are so fantastic. Oh yeah, it really came across. Yeah.
Carman, if I could just ask you a couple of real quick questions. Doing some research, you've appeared on Breaking Bad and In Plain Sight and some kind of really heavy kind of shows, if you will, and projects. So was this like a great change of pace for you, a breath of fresh air, so to speak, to be in a kind of a more of a lighthearted kind of comedic type of project?
Well, it was different and light and refreshing in a lot of ways. And one was because of the relationship I have with Derrex, first, because he's like a brother to me, like a real brother. Like a lot of people say, like, oh, he's like a brother, but like really, we really go back.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was probably one of the people, if anything ever happened to him and my sister Kelly, his wife, that like the kids would come to, you know what I'm saying? Like that,
that's real.
So to be on this set, it was just like, being with family. It was refreshing in that kind of way. It was so wonderful. It was just so great to be there. The mood, the energy, the magic that was happening. Just like you said earlier, I think it was John that asked Avery about, the chemistry. It was just all there because of that energy, that love that was there, that sense of family and camaraderie. And so that's how it was for me.
Gotcha.
Breaking Bad. I can say it now because, we were filming a long time ago, but Carmen's never heard this, but when we were filming, we filmed all of our scenes together. All the scenes were together in it. And so when we're filming, the day we were filming, I love Breaking Bad. So internally, I was bugging out because I just kept going like, whoa, yo, this is the principal from Breaking Bad. And I'm trying to be cool, but I'm trying to, direct the scene and I'm trying to be cool. But the whole time, like, yo.
I love that. I had no idea.
Well, you brought it up, so I have to ask, what was it like working on Breaking Bad, which is my favorite show of all time?
It was amazing. That show, like everybody from Vince Gilligan to, Brian, Anna, everybody was just amazing to work with. I was in the pilot, so I was really blessed to be part of the show from the beginning and then to be part of the second to the last show. And so, to see the progression and everybody was just so lovely, so down to earth, so kind, generous, giving as actors, as human beings. It was just a really, really great show to work on.
So Aaron Paul's use of the word bitch in the show, is that all in the script or was some of it ad-libbed?
There was a lot of bitches. You could add some.
Well, one thing I also enjoyed about questions is the fact that it is very relatable. I think we all have been in relationships that have been great, and then they've had rough times, and then there's been breakups and whatnot. So, Avery, when you sat down to kind of start piecing this story together, was a focal point making it relatable, or was it, I'm just going to write this tale, and if it happens to be relatable, which it is, great?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would skew towards the latter, which is, I mean, you know, you try as much as possible to make it relatable, but I really wasn't thinking of it in those terms. To be, what I was honestly thinking about the whole time was honesty. I felt like, you know,
please knock it off.
Oh, that was yeah. I felt like as long as I could be as honest as possible, then then it would relate to somebody. Somebody would get it. I felt like I couldn't have been the only person who, have experienced these things or had these certain thoughts or insecurities. And, and I've always been a fan of like Woody Allen films. And one of the things I like about his films, I just love the way he uses all of his, neuroses and, different fears and brings comedy out of them. He's just real honest about things that he's very neurotic about. And it usually brings, a lot of humor, in my opinion. So I felt like, well, I want this to be funny. And I felt like the more honest I could be, the funnier it would have a chance to be and the more relatable. So yeah, that's kind of where my headspace was with that.
Okay. So obviously, you guys didn't have 20th Century Fox or one of these big movie houses behind you, movie companies behind you. So what are some of the trials and tribulations of making a film in a more independent manner?
Ooh. Well, first
I just wore you out, didn't I, with that question?
I started getting flashbacks about it. Oh, man. Yeah, definitely a little post-traumatic stress syndrome from that one. But it's the biggest thing is just having to wear so many different hats. I mean, it was already difficult as a director and an actor, in a project. But then when you put on the producer hat, then you put on, we had to, Derrex and I were making trips to the, to pick up lights and, we have to do all this stuff. So, there's just so much like, it's literally like, it's already hard making a film, but when you have to do it and wear, 10 hats at the same time, it's hard and creatively. Derrex can speak. I'm curious to see what Derrex thinks about it, but I know for me, it was real hard constantly flipping all the switches because it's each little different area takes a different part of the brain, to process. So, you're acting in the scene. That's one part of your brain. Then you got to kind of step out of that and be able to look at it and analyze it from a director's point of view. But then also you got to step out of that and be able to look at it from a producer's point of view for all kinds of reasons. It was tough. And so, that's, I would say for me, that's the biggest difference between working independently and with a studio backing you is, usually when you have a studio backing you, unless you're just some kind of insane control freak, there's a person whose sole job is dedicated to one specific area. And so it's just a lot smoother and a lot easier to get things done, to process. So for me, that's the big thing is instead of having a team of people, and we had a great team, but it was very small. So everybody had to do multiple things, so yeah.
Derrex, would you agree with what Avery said or?
No. Yes, absolutely. It was, it was crazy because, Avery and I would be doing a scene, totally grounded, totally in the moment. And in the next moment, we're having a conversation about the location tomorrow, or making sure that we, what time we got to take the lights back. I think one of the biggest things that happens though, when you're doing a indie film is you really get to see all the people that really believe in you and support you, right? Because you need help. And so we were able to take stock and go, wow, we have a lot of friends that we collectively we haven't used that card yet. So we can ask for some favors. And So like our lighting package from Monster Lighting, my guy Eric Hall, he gave us, and I hope we don't get in trouble, but he gave us a lighting package like every time we need it for free. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We were able to collectively get all the locations for the place, and actors like Carman and so many other actors that we had on there just did favors because they believed in the script and they thought it was a universal theme that we could all talk about, and it was written really well by Avery. So it's just, you get to really see all these people kind of come together from catering and on down that really help you make the film. Like when you're with Fox, you just show up, you kind of make sure that everyone's doing their job. But when you're doing an indie film, we are the ones that are doing the job, and then also just making sure we can get all the help we can. So, but it was a good thing because on Questions, we got so much love and support by so many people, so many brands, so many companies. It was really encouraging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to be promoting this movie because I think this movie was fantastic with some of the best acting I've seen this year. And you never know when people send you a movie to screen what the quality is going to be, but this one was absolutely one of the best ones I've seen so far.
Hey!
Yeah. Most definitely, thank you.
What did you think about me, Jason?
You were fantastic.
Specifically,
I do want to talk to you about your role as girl number 1 on next Friday.
Oh, wow. You're in the greats on that one. I love it. That's how I got my SAG card.
Is that right?
Yes. And I was nursing my daughter whose birthday is tomorrow, Cheyenne. She was a year old, not even a year old when I did that movie. I was nursing her, so I was a little well endowed in ways that I wasn't.
Did you work with Ice Cube? Like, did your scene directly with him?
No, but he was always there because like he would come in and out, and so that was such a fun project to work on. Like, I had originally read for the role of the girlfriend, whatever. However, it went down. We screen tested. She got it, and then I was offered the role of girl number 1, and I just had so much fun. Like I said, I got my SAG card on that project, and God, I look back on that and it's part of something really great. And it's so funny because I remember when I did it, my sister's friends, because it's such a popular movie, were like, wow, my sister, I didn't know your sister was like a hoochie like that. Like I had no idea. Acting. And I really got a sense of how the way some people, look at actors, with the roles that they take and the roles that they play. And it's just so funny, but that you dug.
I'm going to let John get us back on track in just a minute, but Derrex, I did not forget about you. You were in Boston Legal too. What was your experience like on that show?
Boston Legal was cool because it was kind of like a full circle moment. Like my very first, maybe it was my second acting gig was on Chicago Hope. I'm dating myself. I was playing a teenage phenom pitcher, and that was my first experience with David E. Kelley. And it actually was historic. It's not now, but at that time, I was just a kid on there, and Mark Harmon got to use the word, he cursed on it. And it was like the first time that anyone ever said SHIT on network TV. And it was like all this ruckus, and David E. Kelley, being the innovator he is, he did that. But then when I got to do Boston Legal, it was really cool because I was a little older then. I had more understanding what was going on, and all my scenes were with James Spader. I was playing a paramedic that we didn't get all of our military gear when we went to war. So it was cool. I mean, I just loved his writing. I think like Avery said, this is the thing about David E. Kelley. He's such an amazing writer. He's full confident that you're really not going to have to use a bunch of words to make it your own. Like he really is an amazing writer. He gives you some freedom, but there's not really a lot you have to do to make it your own because he just writes that well. And I remember just thinking, wow, there's such an ease with it. there's such a pleasantry with it. It was just a great experience, both of them.
Yeah. Do they keep all of James Spader's stuff in the scripts, or do they leave it out because it's like a book in and of itself? Because he says so many words on that show.
He does. You know what? The thing about Boston Legal was, it was quirky. You know, you had J.C. Turk, you had William Shatner in there, and James Spader. Like the duo of them, it was really like a quirky show, and it was really grounded in life, but at the same time there was a heightened reality to it. So James Spader was just amazing on that show. And sometimes he would have, like, there was a scene where I was on the stand and one of the attorneys were coming at me pretty hard. And I looked at him and he was supposed to say some things. And all James Spader just said, I looked at him for help and he was supposed to talk and he just went, that's all he gave me. That was, don't say nothing, don't answer. So sometimes he would use all of his words and then sometimes it was enough just to give you a nod. And it all made sense. James Spader was like that.
That is awesome.
Well, going back to questions, I actually have two things that I wanted to ask you folks. Was there any parts for any of you who want to jump in here? Were there any parts that were difficult to film in terms of maybe the emotion or just the physical logistics of things? Derrex?
Yes. I like Justin. But I don't walk in life like Justin. Avery might think I do. I don't. There's no way in the world I would be sitting somewhere. My girl looked to the left, and I would be like, "Okay, she wants some dessert." Like, it wouldn't work. That we wouldn't rock like that. But it was tough to play him. But then I took a creative view of him that he's not just this like weak individual that is just feeling so grateful to be in a relationship with a beautiful girl. I looked at it that he really knew what he had and he didn't need to lose it to understand what he had. So my take, I flipped it in my mind, whether you guys got that or not. I flipped it in my mind that I just didn't need to lose. I didn't need it to be gone for me to cherish it.
Okay. Avery?
For me, as far as hard to film, do you mean like in an uncomfortable way or just difficulty trying to figure out, or
both? You could go either avenue.
Well, as far as filming itself, I would say I don't know if there's anything that necessarily made me uncomfortable. But there were two things. There was one with the filming. There's a scene where my character Omar gets into an argument with with Diane, his girlfriend, and because he finds out that well, I won't give away too much, but they get to a big argument. And that scene, it was a real big shift in the scene, right? Like it gets pretty heated. And so it was tough getting there, but then having to make the U-turn right away, because right after it gets really heated, it gets really comedic. And it took a few takes. It was I don't know. I had a little difficulty on the day of shooting that, finding that range comfortably and naturally, without forcing it and making it look weird. It took a while for me to figure that out. So yeah, that was kind of difficult. But the one thing that was super difficult for me, which had nothing to do with, well, I guess it did have something to do with filming, but I had to I won't get into too many specifics about it, but I had to fire a person. And that was a very, very difficult process. I'd never do anything like that before. And it was a really extreme. I mean, it was really extremely tough for me to do. And yeah, that was hard. That was very, very hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Carman, were there any scenes for you that were challenging?
These fellas did all the work. I was so spoiled. I just showed up and in one day I did all my scenes and they just made everything so nice for me. And all my scenes were with Avery. I hear these guys talking about they had to do this, that, and the other. I had to come in and sit in hair and makeup and sit at my desk with pretty clothes on, and good. They took such good care of me, and all my scenes were with Avery, and so I just had so much fun because not only did he, direct the film, but he did such a wonderful job with his character and acting. So he gave me so much to work with. And so I love my character. And just the way she's written, Avery did such a good job. And, that I got to play this strong, beautiful woman in this power position. And very much, I feel like the character was very much like myself, where I'm also a business owner. I'm very straightforward. Not a lot of times I've been able to play this type of character. And so I was really grateful for the opportunity, and I just had a lot of fun. So it wasn't hard because, like I said, they spoiled me and they made everything so easy.
Okay.
Well,
So
can I say,
go ahead, Derrex. Go ahead.
when I had to wear the green,
Yeah, I was thinking that.
when I had to, I'm not sure why Avery wrote that, but when I had to wear the green, that was probably the toughest day for me.
Well, I thought that's what you were going to talk about.
I thought he was going to bring that up too. Yeah.
That was the toughest day for me, wearing the green. Yeah, by far.
Yeah. There's a shot in the end credits of Derrex in that green, which just encapsulates everything. Derrex experience with the green.
You wore it so well, babe. You just wore it so well.
Man, that was good. You guys can't even say nothing about it, so you understand. John, they're just like, yeah, no, I understand.
I was going to ask you.
They're like, yeah, I get it.
What were you going to ask, John?
I was going to ask, where can folks check out the film?
Well, it's available on most of the major streamers. So it's on iTunes, available on iTunes. It's available on Apple TV. It's available on Google Play. It's available on YouTube Movies. It's also available on Amazon Prime. It's also available on a platform called Gumroad, and I believe that's it. Yeah. So basically, any of your major streamers, you can find it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Derrex, I know you mentioned that you have a big project kicking off here, or has been actually in production. Carman, Avery, do you have anything, or Derrex, do you have any other projects you'd like to highlight real quick?
Well, yes. My producing partner, MD Walt, and I have a film called Michael. It's about an African American boxer who's deaf, and through child complications, he ends up giving his son up, but then ends up, after quitting boxing, gets back in the ring to regain custody. So we're working on that, and we also have a film called March. It's about 3 teenagers that decide to hitchhike from DC to Selma to be part of Martin Luther King's speech. I Have a Dream, and there are 3 teenagers that just kind of hitchhike to get there and want to be part of it. So that's a limited series. And then the other one, I'm over here nudging Avery to write the series on questions. I'm constantly nudging him.
I'm working
to live, and he needs to write this as a series. So we've been talking about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on that. I'm working on it as we speak. But I'm not David E. Kelly. I can't write a whole thing in a couple hours. But no, I am working on developing questions into a series. So working on that. But I'm also working right now on. There's going to do a web series called Daddy Playdate, which I'm pretty excited about. Which will hopefully be going into production in a couple of months. And then I will be appearing in Soul, which comes out this Friday, Pixar film. I voice Muhammad Ali in that, so that's fun. That's fun. So I have that coming out Friday, and then I guess everything is so secretive these days. So I'll just say that what can I say? I'll say it looks like I'll be getting a chance to work closely with an actor I've admired for a very long time, Wesley Snipes. looks like I'm going to have a chance to be able to work closely with him for a few months, starting in late January. So I guess I can't say any more than that right now.
White Men Can't Jump 2. Please say it's White Men Can't Jump 2.
I really do wish, but no, it's not that. It's not that. Yeah. So that's that's what I have cooking right now.
Carman, how about you?
It's a little dry. But I'm actually I work as a self-love and empowerment coach. And so I work with women and men. And so I've been focusing a lot on my coaching and also auditioning right now. You know, this whole I got my beauty lights and my backdrop and trying to get out as much as I can right now with the circumstances, and kind of getting used to this new normal. And of course, you know, waiting for my brothers to create projects for me. So, you know.
I was just ready to say, every project I'm involved in, I'm going to ask Carman. I want her to get her money, but I'm asking, I need her to be involved. She's just so amazing and brings a light to everything she does. I just have to have her in whatever I'm doing.
Carmen's one of those actors where after, if you're a writer as well, after you've worked with her, she's one of those actors where you start writing with her in mind. Stay in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind. Thank you, babe. Thank you.
I've got two more questions. First one is for Avery. Avery, what was it like being on the set for Curb Your Enthusiasm?
That was amazing. First of all, it was a dream come true. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's a bigger fan of that show than me. And I've had a couple of friends who got the opportunity to be on it. And, you know, they would tell me about it, how the experience was. And I was jealous. Like, I was happy for them, but I was jealous. I'm like, I want to get a chance to be on that show so bad. And when it happened, it was I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I cracked Larry David twice. So, you know, we're filming and I broke him. I broke him twice. I made him have to cut and stop the tape because, you know, which, look, I could almost retire after doing that. And I was just like, I've done it. There's really nothing left to do in this. I made Larry David break. I'm a comedic genius. That's it. I'm going to go out now. But it was fantastic. I mean, Larry is, he's not exactly like his character is on the show, but he's there though. I mean, he's like a quiet, in real life, he's a very much quieter version of the Larry David you see on the show. But really a cool guy. I mean, really, really funny, obviously, and just cool. And it was a great experience. I just, you know, and everybody on the set, that was another great set. It was a great set, real good experience and atmosphere. It was fantastic. Yeah.
What's it like working in the improv space on that show? Because it's improv, right? Like you get notes.
Yeah. Are they too? They'll tell you. They'll say, "Hey, at some point, we need you to say something like, you know." They'll say, "Hey, at some point, you'll have to say this," but that's it. They don't, you know, you how to get there, where to go from there. All that happens organically. They'll just maybe give you a couple of things to say, "Hey, make sure you mention this in this scene," and that's it. And then they say, "Okay, action." And so approaching a show like Curb Your Enthusiasm, at first it's so nerve-wracking because it's iconic television, you know, and you're thinking, all right, okay, I got to come off the top of my head with the master, you know, and it's very intimidating. But once you kind of get into it, you know, I've heard boxers say before, you know, a lot of times you'll be nervous until you take that first punch, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm good, you know, you know. But you know, unless that punch knocks you out, but that's what it was like. I was real nervous. I mean, I might have even been shaking a little bit, to be honest with you. I mean, I was like, oh man, okay. I hope I'm going to be funny. You know, I hope, you know, you don't want to, because everyone's there and you don't want to say something and things just fall flat, because in rehearsals, Larry's saying stuff, people are laughing, and it's legitimately funny. And you don't want to come back with something and then you get crickets and, you know, so yeah, it was nerve wracking, but it worked out. Once it started, it was just like being right in there. And then once I got the first like reaction from Larry David, and after he broke the first time from something I said, that's when it was like, oh man, okay, all right, let's do this, let's play now. So yeah.
That's awesome. I got to ask you, Carman, about a film you did back in 2007 with Steven Seagal, Eddie Griffin, and Danny Trejo called Urban Justice.
Well, why do you want to ask me about that exactly?
Does everyone ask you about that?
Well, you mentioned Steven Seagal. So we've heard a lot of stuff about him with the whole Me Too movement. And that was a really, I was on a talk show once, and the producers called me before to kind of prep the questions. And they said, we're huge fans, and our audiences are huge fans of Steven Seagal. And so we want to talk to you about Urban Justice. I said, yeah, then if they're fans, you probably don't want to ask me about how it was working with him on that film. It was, how much time do we have?
I've not heard any good stories about him. I met him once in Saudi Arabia. He was at a con that I was emceeing at, and I met his wife, and she didn't talk. She didn't say one word the whole time. I actually felt bad for her. She's just a little Asian lady, and then he is like Steven Seagal ate like 12 buffets.
Yeah,
like standing next to her.
Yeah. It was really something. Like, this was my first leading role in a film. And so I was beyond thrilled, and I was so ready. And so I'd get to set with like 9 pages of dialogue memorized and ready to go. And I get there. Well, let me tell you, my first day, I get to set and I'm ready and I meet him. He won't look me in the eye. So weeks prior to even getting to set, I was sent kind of notes, and if he asks you to go to his hotel room, if he wants time alone, refuse, just say no, and all of this. And so I was prepared for that. He didn't choose me as his lead. Sony did. And so he was not very happy with that, because he chose someone who he wanted for his lead. He had met her in his room and whatever. Anyway, Sony chose me. I'm on the set and I'm introduced to him. And this is like, we're about to shoot. So now I'm introduced to him, and it was after a scene where after I had saved him from, this shootout or whatever. Then, so I walk up to him, and he's supposed to be my love interest. So I walk up to him, we're having this scene, and he calls me a motherfucker in the scene. And he's going off and he says, this motherfucker. And I'm like, ugh. So I give it back to him, and so the director, who is amazing, was like, everything's good. And he says, so Steven starts going off on me and the way I was. And so the director says, she's giving it back to you. The way you gave it, you just called her a motherfucker. She just saved your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's giving it back to you. And so he gets up and he starts yelling and cursing and saying that this production was like, I'll never forget. He said, like a monkey eating a football. I was like, whoa, what does this? And I backed up in this room, and I kind of hid in a corner, and I started crying. This was my first day.
Wow, I'm sorry. That sucks. I'm a Van Damme fan. I'm not a Seagal fan.
Yeah.
And so that's how it was working with Steven Seagal. And Sony was so kind and generous. They sent me gift baskets and like lots of gifts and notes and kindness, but it was really challenging. And so every day when I would show up with all these pages memorized, he'd come in and he'd say, so I cut all of this out. Here's what I'm going to say. And you say, okay. So basically my role was like, not what it was supposed to be. So
Yeah, your third billing on IMDb.
yeah, but it wasn't like that when you watched the film. And then it was so bizarre. Even in so I'm third billing, right? And I'm third billed. But if you watch the credits, my name is spelled incorrectly. Like, it was just so bizarre. It was all bizarre. The whole production was bizarre. So yeah, Steven Seagal questions for me. Not if you're a fan, don't ask.
I'm not a fan. My dad used to like him, but no, I'm a Van Damme fan. Van Damme won the contest between the two, I think, by far, because at least he's still in shape.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, what about working with Eddie Griffin? I just saw him live recently.
It was fun, and I actually had done an episode of Malcolm and Eddie years ago, and so that was just fun. Everybody else was great. Honestly, everybody was great. It was just that experience was a trip. I have stories, so that's good. I don't regret it, not at all. And but yeah, everybody else was fantastic. John Fauntleroy, who was the director, was really wonderful. He had worked with Seagal a lot, and so he was pretty familiar with what to expect.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah. Fauntleroy, he's fantastic, and he was just so kind and loving. It would just like, don't let him get you. Just let's go. We hired you for a reason. Get out there and do what you got to do. And so I did, but it wasn't super pleasant. Like I said, left with lots of stories, but it wasn't the most pleasant experience.
Wow.
Yeah. Give me a call, Ave, if you want to hear some more.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. Let us know where everybody can find you guys online.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I can be found on Facebook at Avery Kid Waddell. That's KIDD WADDELL. And same on Instagram, actually, at Avery Kid Waddell, and same on Twitter, I believe. Yeah, same on Twitter. So I'm pretty easy to find as long as you can remember Avery Kid Waddell. That's where you can find me across all the social media platforms there.
Carmen?
I'm Carman Serano, CarmenSerano on Instagram. So just Carman Serano, at Carman Serano. And I think that's all I really do. But I mean, the other stuff's probably there, but I only look on Instagram.
Derrex, what about you?
I'm at DERREX, Brady, BRADY. Pretty much on all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, pretty much the same.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and everybody that is listening or watching, check out the movie Questions. I will put the link to as many of the places you can find the movie in the description as I possibly can, because it's absolutely fantastic. I think more people need to see it. These are not the kind of movies that Hollywood is making anymore, so show the support to the indie filmmakers because they're doing some great work.
Thank you guys so much. You guys have been amazing. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys coming on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for coming on.
And from all of us at the Three Geeks Podcast, have a great day.